How did these two guys in the middle of nowhere with nothing but primitive tools end up building the unthinkable, an astonishingly elaborate secret underground swimming pool? More than that, why are videos like this racking up hundreds of millions of views on YouTube? Well, that's what we're going to explore together. I'm trained in cultural anthropology, and we are going to find out how and why these primitive building techniques may indeed be the wave of the future. So let's dive right in. Now, these guys are just amazing. After doing some research, little is known about these two YouTube sensations other than what we see here, a time-lapsed masterclass in the extraordinary possibilities of primitive technology. Obviously, building a swimming pool is no mean feat. It could take weeks to complete even with the most sophisticated bulldozing equipment, and yet, without any modern machinery at all, these two make it look absolutely effortless. Through a combination of carving and digging, they gouge out a deep hole that forms the centerpiece of the pool, which opens up to an entranceway linked to an underground tunnel. Part sculptors, part excavators, the two men light strategically placed candles to give the underground tunnel a mysterious temple-like feel. They then bore out a funnel that leads back above ground, which functions as a chute or slide into the dark underground tunnel below. I have to say, this is one of the things I'm most impressed with. Touches of aesthetic beauty and design are incorporated throughout. They appear to be carved pillars, perhaps representing the 8 Noble Truths of Buddhism, and the color green that adorns the pool most likely symbolizes balance and harmony. And then the key ingredient. Water is piped in from a local river, and in time we watch and wonder as the astonishing sacred underground pool is complete. But in many respects, what we're seeing here is just the beginning. These two builders are part of a larger genre of YouTube videos called primitive technology, where viewers by the hundreds of millions watch time-lapse, handmade builds of everything from elaborate water parks to underground apartments to even paradise villas. This social media sensation all seemed to start back in 2015 with an Australian fellow by the name of John Plant and his YouTube channel, Primitive Technology. As you may have guessed, he's an expert in Stone Age living, and his video uploads quickly racked up hundreds of millions of views. And so since then, dozens of channels have been launched highlighting the extraordinary possibilities of primitive technology, together amassing billions upon billions of views. Which raises the question, why are videos like these attracting so much attention? They're amazing curiosities for sure, no question. But the literally billions of views these videos are collectively getting indicate something far more profound is going on here than mere curiosity. Back in the 1990s, a book was published entitled Archaeofuturism by French scholar Guillaume Faye. Faye argued that the modern world, rooted in the excesses of technology and mass industrialization, was provoking a crisis of meaning that made it simply unsustainable. He theorized that as the myth of unending progress inevitably wanes, future populations would increasingly return to what he called their arche, or their ancient wisdom and virtue traditions that have sustained their identities as unique people groups for thousands of years. Faye predicted that people preserving a techno-scientific and industrial way of life would actually coexist with people who reverted back to traditional societies based on religious and pastoral practices and a far more archaic way of life. This may explain why so many today are fascinated with the Amish. It's often thought that they awaken within us a yearning for old-fashioned simplicity, and their craftsmanship and skills awaken a nostalgia for a bygone era. And yet, if Guillaume Faye is right, then the attraction that so many have to videos about Stone Age living and pastoral practices may evidence sentiments not so much of nostalgia, but ironically, of novelty. The fascination is not so much with the old, but indeed with practices that are becoming increasingly renewed. The popularity of primitive technology may indicate that just such an archaeofuturistic age is now coming upon us. And so as these underground temple pools continue to captivate the imagination of hundreds of millions of viewers, the technology of YouTube and the tradition of primitive builds combine to realize Guillaume Fay's vision in the present. Far from being a holdover from a bygone era, that astonishing feat of primitive technology we just witnessed may indeed be the wave of the future. So what do you think? What were some of the highlights of that time lapse for you? Let us all know in the comments section below. It'll be awesome reading. And before you go, make sure to watch my latest video reacting to the recent smackdown between Ben Shapiro and Malcolm Nance on critical race theory. If you want to learn how to win an argument, you are not going to want to miss this. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.